啊，救了3个人，都是我们检测站的同事啊。危险那是没考虑那么多了。
我靠，就赶快打120吧，就1楼的同事杯都全部被淹了，你看车子都全部淹没了，住在1楼的同事杯都没上2楼来，等一下把我们这个冲垮了，完蛋了。你看那边，我靠，这怎么办啊？我们也不敢下去啊，也没有救援。
Hello everyone, and welcome to the DisasterScope documentary channel. Today we're covering the sudden, once-in-a-century floods that struck China in August, with northeastern Beijing hit especially hard in the face of such disasters. We need to learn how to keep ourselves and our families safe. If you think this content deserves wider attention, please subscribe to support our ongoing reporting and documentation. Share your thoughts in the comments and join the discussion.
我操！
今夜又下着小雨，小雨它一点一。
Torrential rains poured down, and northeastern Beijing was devastated by severe flooding. The downpour arrived without warning, almost frenzied in its ferocity. It wasn't a gentle drizzle that tenderly moistens the earth, but a dense, impenetrable curtain of water crashing down from an oppressive, leaden sky. Every drop seemed to carry boundless anger and force, pummeling the ground as if intent on submerging everything in existence. For days on end, there was no sign of relief. Like an out-of-control dancer, the storm raged tirelessly across the land. Raindrops hammered the earth with a deafening clatter, thickening the air until it felt gripped by an invisible hand. A sharp odor filled the atmosphere, the mingled scent of wet stone and soil, damp and decaying, enough to make one wince. On the rooftops, the pounding echoed like hammer blows, each thud a fierce roar from nature, loud and unyielding, proclaiming its might and inevitability. Under the relentless assault, old roofs began to totter, tiles were washed loose and scattered, and water poured through the gaps, filling homes with dread and helplessness. In the hilly areas of northeastern Beijing, the once clear, trickling brooks had transformed completely. Fed by the deluge, the gentle streams turned in an instant into roaring rivers, churning with silt, stones, and branches, surging forward like a collapsing mountain. In places, walls of water several meters high rose up like storm-driven seas, charging ahead with devastating force. The broad, level roads linking towns proved fragile against the rising waters. Solid concrete softened and cracked under prolonged soaking and battering. In mere hours, entire stretches vanished beneath the flood. Cars were half submerged, only their roofs visible as they struggled in the current. Some were tossed about and collided with dull thuds. Villages scattered along the roads were swallowed by brown, murky water. The flood surged into every corner like a demon, and the low houses shuddered as if ready to collapse. Residents stood on their roofs, staring out at a boundless sheet of water, fear and helplessness in their eyes. Their cries for help were quickly drowned by the roar of the rain. The city's outskirts were hit hardest. In places like Miyun and Taishidan, the flood barreled through narrow lanes like a wild beast, smashing aside everything in its path. It rushed straight into homes, lifting furniture and appliances to bob on the water. Thick sludge coated the walls, leaving once-tidy rooms in ruins. Shops along the streets fared no better. Flood waters burst through doors, sweeping away goods. Display windows shattered, scattering glass. Items once neatly arranged on shelves drifted like helpless flotsam into the street, some mangled beyond recognition, others buried in silt and ruined. Farmland could not escape either. In just hours, vast fields were swallowed by the flood. Newly planted seedlings only weeks old were smothered and drowned. Their once vibrant leaves turned yellow and rotten, releasing a foul stench. Orchards suffered heavy damage as well. Fruit once heavy on the boughs was knocked to the ground, some buried in mud, others swept away. Irrigation systems were ripped from the soil and strewn about. Their once orderly pipes twisted beyond recognition, silent testimony to the disaster's brutality. In low-lying areas, water pooled with alarming speed. Within minutes, fields resembled lakes, their waves battering and breaching the ridges, drowning yet more land. Farmers watched their hard-won crops vanish. Grief-stricken and powerless, an entire year's toil washed away in an instant. Fallen trees and mudslides became accomplices to the flood, snapping power lines and plunging hundreds of villages into darkness. Places once lit and lively turned pitch black. Communications failed, no cell signal, no phone lines, leaving people isolated, cut off from the outside world. Without signal or light, some communities waited in a deathly hush. Unsure of what was happening or what dangers lay ahead, people huddled together for comfort, praying for the storm to pass. Children wailed in fright while adults swallowed their terrors, telling stories of courage to ease their fear. Bridges began to crack, structures once sturdy etched with alarming fissures that widened as if ready to snap. Highways turned into riverbeds. Smooth, wide lanes disappeared under torrents, becoming swift currents. Traffic ground to a halt. Vehicles sidelined to await rescue.
走个班，冲得这么快水。
Trains, too, were suspended. Engines that once sped along the rails stood idle in stations crowded with anxious passengers, unsure when service would resume or when they'd reach their destinations. Freight halted, goods piled up in warehouses, and the region's economy suffered heavy losses. In just a few days, critical infrastructure, water mains, roads, phone networks failed one after another. Burst pipes cut off clean water, forcing residents to fetch it from afar. Roads washed out and transport seized up, severely limiting movement. With phone networks down, communication became painfully difficult. Emergency teams were stretched thin, bulldozers rumbled as they cleared fallen trees, scooping and piling them aside. Rescuers waded through chest-deep water, bodies swaying with each hard-won step, racing against time to reach trapped families and pressing into the worst-hit zones despite the danger. Schools were turned into temporary shelters, once filled with laughter. Campuses were now bustling and noisy. Evacuation buses crept along narrow, slick mountain roads, rutted and muddied by rain. Drivers navigated with extreme care, risking mishap at every bend, yet pressed on to move people to safety as quickly as possible.
这棵大树。
不让你拉住我，你这放手，手放两点。
越来越大，滨江公园这里全部被淹了。活力超市、富裕楼。
发大六。娘驴婆 ，yes。
慢慢啥啥，别忘了，别忘了。
这不是包的，大怪吗？这是怪吗？
看，是个什么地方的大怪？哎，看，太挺好听了吧？哎呀，尝试的。
At the heart of the crisis lay Beijing's largest reservoir. Days of rain had driven water levels to heights unseen in decades. The once placid surface heaved in waves that pounded the dam, which creaked ominously as if on the verge of failure. With no alternative, officials opened the spillways to release water downstream and avert a greater catastrophe. As the gates lifted, the torrent burst forth like a runaway horse, racing downstream with violent force and leaving wreckage in its wake. Towns along the release path now faced a fresh threat. Residents, learning of the discharge, packed what they could and left in haste, worrying and fear in their eyes. The city's drainage built for ordinary summer storms failed outright. Gutters overflowed, spilling sheets of water down walls. Manhole covers were blown off by pressure, exposing black mouths that gaped like jaws, ready to swallow anything nearby. In some neighborhoods, with nowhere else to go, water poured straight into basements and underground malls. Belongings stored below were soaked and set adrift, many ruined beyond recognition, shops painstakingly built were wrecked, stock carried off, leaving owners staring in grief and despair.
"不许拍照啊！拍照犯法。
这个政府门口，瞅瞅，这么多水。
这里是潮白河的汇合口，左面是白河，右面那个河道是潮河，在这里汇合形成了下一个。
太师屯这儿，太师屯院这儿，这里满了，往外流水了。
看到从屋里都流水了，贾哥那摩托车也被淹了。
Rural channels, especially aging ditches, were overwhelmed. Years of silt had narrowed waterways, clogging flow. The flood rose too fast and spilled over the banks, drowning roads and fields. Once smooth roads turned to impassable muck, and newly sown seeds were washed away, shattering another year of hope. Protective embankments gave way at last under the ceaseless battering, collapsing with a roar. Broad swaths of countryside sank beneath the surge. The once lovely rural scene left ravaged houses down, trees uprooted, debris everywhere. Villagers watched their homes destroyed, tears falling as they prayed for mercy on their land. Authorities responded swiftly, launching rescue operations and mobilizing supplies and personnel to the stricken areas. Firefighters braved the worst flood zones to pull people to safety. Medical staff treated the injured at makeshift clinics. Volunteers joined in, bringing food, water, and clothing to help survivors through the crisis. Even so, the damage was too great to fix quickly. Repair crews set to work on fractured bridges, damaged rails, and water pumps, pressing on despite harsh conditions. Cleanup will take weeks, perhaps longer. Markets remain closed. Their once bustling stalls deserted. Schools have yet to reopen. Children stay home, gazing out at the flooded streets and longing to return to class. Many families return to acrid smells of mold and damp decay. Homes once warm and bright were now wet and dim, walls cracked, belongings ruined. Furniture warped from soaking, appliances failed. Homemakers looked on in sorrow and resignation, quietly cleaning up in hopes of piecing life back together. After the storm, a familiar question returned: are our systems adequate for such ferocity? Many pointed to climate change, a warming world bringing longer rains, stronger winds, and deeper floods. What was rare now seems expected. Scientists warn that extreme weather will grow more frequent as warming intensifies. We must act to cut greenhouse emissions and protect our shared home. Yet in the hush after the storm, the focus shifted from blame to rebuilding, village by village, road by road. People worked to piece together what the flood had taken. Residents organized to clear mud and debris and mend damaged homes. Crews labored overtime to repair bridges and rail lines and restore transport. Shopkeepers tidied their stores. Preparing to reopen, children played among the rubble, their laughter bringing a spark of life and hope to the scarred land. They might not grasp the disaster's meaning, but they knew life must go on and homes must be rebuilt. People believed that with collective effort, the flood-stricken land would flourish again. Thank you for watching DisasterScope, where we delve into the facts behind nature's most intense moments. If this video helped you, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps this channel going. Turn on notifications so you won't miss our next clear, level-headed report. Note, some footage in this video is illustrative and may not depict the actual events described. See you next time. Stay informed and stay safe.
Wow, có tự nhiên cháy à ơi.
Có mẹ không được hành tốt. Có biết nó xuống trong túi. Nó được nhiều à? Đó tôi thấy nó có cái gì xanh nó thẳng á. Ai dồi.
아, 내가 빙생아.
Có mẹ không cũng làm tôi còn cả một cục tôi giờ.
Ôi, dầu xíu, dầu xíu. Cái gì vậy? 39 là số không? Cái gì vậy?